Coming up on KPBS Evening Edition, we'll hear from a UC San Diego student who says drug agents locked him in a holding cell for 5 days with no food or water. And Junior Seau left a legacy off the football field. A look at how the Charger Hall of Famer affected the community. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown. A prayer vigil is being held tonight outside the home of Junior Seau. Today, the county medical examiner ruled the former Charger linebacker's death was a suicide. No funeral plans have been announced, but the Chargers have asked San Diegans to observe 55 seconds of silence this Saturday, May 5th at 5:55 p.m. We'll take a look at Seau's legacy to San Diego charities in a few minutes. Two California lawmakers are demanding an explanation from the Drug Enforcement Administration about why agents forgot a UC San Diego student in a holding cell for 5 days. Daniel Chong says he was told he would be released after being arrested in a drug raid, but instead he was taken back to a holding cell.
I asked them, why am I still being put in the holding cell? They said, don't worry, you're going to be released. This is just policy. We're going to come get you in a minute. And they closed that cell door.
Chong says the cell had no food and no water. His attorneys say it was torture, and they filed a $20 million claim against the DEA.
I was hallucinating by the second or third night. At one point, I even begged them to urinate through the crack of the door just for me to drink. I was willing to drink other people's urine. I mean, it was pretty low and embarrassing. I got pretty shameless over there.
El Cajon Congressman Duncan Hunter says the case may be an isolated incident or a symptom of bigger problems, and Senator Barbara Boxer has asked the U.S. Attorney General to investigate. There's a protest in San Diego tonight prompted by the death of a man tasered by border agents in San Isidro. Anastasio Rojas died in 2010. Border agents say he was out of control after they caught him trying to cross into San Diego illegally. New video of the incident has raised questions about the case. County medical examiner ruled his death a homicide tonight. Protesters are calling for an investigation of the Border Patrol. San Diego Gas and Electric refuses to pay damage claims from last fall's big blackout. The utility received about $7 million in claims after a nearly 12-hour blackout. SDG&E says other entities were to blame for the outage. This week, federal regulators blamed inadequate planning and coordination for the blackout. Almost 500,000 babies are born prematurely every year in the U.S. The encouraging news is early births are declining compared to several years ago. And today, the first center in California to focus solely on improving the health of a mother and baby opened in San Diego. 1-year-old Nicholas doesn't know he's being tested, but he is, to check his visual, language, and receptive skills. It's all part of a statewide effort to educate women who've had some kind of exposure during pregnancy.
Maybe they have to take a medication. They might have asthma. They might have hypertension. They might have a seizure disorder.
Or maybe they drank alcohol before they discovered their pregnancy. Dr. Christina Chambers says this new center located across the street from Rady Children's Hospital is also designed to connect San Diego schools with clinical and research information.
The effects of alcohol, of course, take place prenatally, so the baby is affected, but oftentimes the problems with learning and behavior are not really recognized until the child gets to school age.
That's where the Center for the Promotion of Maternal Health and Infant Development comes in. Dr. Kenneth Lyons-Jones was the first to identify fetal alcohol syndrome in babies in 1973.
Kids with the fetal alcohol syndrome are small. They're small in terms of their height, their weight, their head circumference. They have some very specific abnormalities of facial development.
Dr. Jones says drinking alcohol before or during pregnancy is a bad idea. The center also has a health information hotline and web component to provide women answers to various concerns.
Probably the most common questions about hair color in pregnancy. That's actually something that a lot of women are concerned about.
Get out of here.
Yes, no.
California represents about 20% of the births in the U.S., and this hotline receives a substantial amount of calls from Hispanics, who represent the fastest growing population in the country. The center combines the talents of UC San Diego School of Medicine and Rady Children's Hospital, and it's the first in the state to focus on a child and mother's health under one roof. The largest exchange in the Marine Corps is now open at Camp Pendleton. The new MCX is a one-stop shopping experience with a variety of services and products for authorized military and civilian shoppers. The Marine Corps says it's a way to show appreciation for the sacrifices made. This was Gary Stein's last day as an active duty Marine. He's been discharged for criticizing President Obama on Facebook. The discharge was other than honorable, meaning Stein loses most of his benefits. He says he was exercising his freedom of speech and continued to do so during his last day on the job. On Facebook, he posted he was being escorted around Camp Pendleton like a criminal and said his blood was boiling. Junior Seau was bigger than life to many in San Diego, especially those in Oceanside. Allison St. John has that story from the Evening Edition Roundtable.
Junior Seau was the pride of Oceanside High School, and he made his home there in a house on the beachfront, where he often greeted people as he came out of the surf. Joining me to talk about Junior Seau's contribution to Oceanside's community is my guest, Mike Hollins, who is the Area Director of Boys and Girls Club of Oceanside. So now, Mike, Junior Seau started coming to the Boys and Girls Club when he was like 10, and you were there at that time too. What's your memories of him back then?
Well, I remember a very intense kid. He would come into the Boys and Girls Club with his cousins and a few friends, and mostly they were gym rats, basketball players, sports, and all that other stuff. But what my memory of Junior is a very intense competitor. He played 200% hard all the time. I mean, it could be a basketball game, could be a football game, pick up in the back, but he always played 100%, and he was really intense as a kid. And you see the type of player he was on the field. He was a youngster like that also at the Boys and Girls Club.
How are you dealing with his death?
I'm still numb. Very sad. It's a very sad situation. You know, I didn't know Junior well, but I knew him through the Boys and Girls Club, and you know, knew him when he was younger and stuff like that. But I'm really sad. A lot of people are numb still about the whole situation.
Did he used to still come around the Boys and Girls Club?
Oh yeah, he used to come out. The fitness center that's named after him, which he actually built and donated all the equipment. He used to come and work out often. So I would see him, and everybody in the club would see him when he pulled up, especially all the secretaries. They would be the first ones to notice him. But
how did the kids react when he was there?
Well, like, there's Junior. Wow, here he is, big Junior Seau. But you know, we kind of left him alone and let him do his workout, and you know, keep peace over there and everything like that. But he would come over time to time to talk to kids. So.
What do you think he got out of the relationship with the kids there?
Well, he was a kid himself in the Boys and Girls Club, so I think he was just giving back to, you know, the neighborhood kids, because he was a kid from the neighborhood, and he came to the club, and he was just trying to let the kids know that you can make it. You know, you just try hard, work hard. And whenever I saw Junior, he would always say that, just work hard, play hard, and do your best. And so that's what I'm going to miss about him.
Right. So you're very close to the community there. How are they dealing with this?
Well, if you watch the news reports, everybody's just shocked. You know, they're numb. I mean, people's feet were caught in the sand because this was such a shock. This was such a shock. Junior was our Superman. He was one of our heroes in the city of Oceanside, and a lot of people are just in shock. And so I don't think they really know how to deal with it. You know, there's not a lot of answers out there on what happened. So.
I mean, he was described as someone who always had a smile on his face. You know, is that going to be hard to really work with the kids to help explain to them how to deal with this? Yeah.
The difficult part with that is that, you know, we don't have a lot of answers as far as that's concerned. We don't really know what happened. But when me knowing Junior, that happy guy, he was always happy. He was, you know, just one of the guys, you know, with his funny little hats. And, you know, when we would go to his restaurant, when we get invited, the kids would go to shop with the jock. He was just like a big kid. And so that's what I'm going to miss about Junior. It's just his enthusiasm, how he used to pump the crowd up and get everybody moving at the shop with the jock. And, you know, the messages that he sent to all the kids were always uplifting and encouraging, and just telling them that, you know, be the best you can be and good things will happen to you.
So do you have some idea about how you're going to be working with the kids around the death?
Well, as of right now, we haven't really talk to the kids about it. I know in my middle school that I work at, we kind of kept it mum yesterday, but we are working on some things that we can target with the kids to give them some little guidance too, because by now everybody's heard about it. So we have to deal with it from there. So we're going to have a session today where we're going to let the kids ask some questions if they have any questions answered, and if we can't answer those, then we'll talk to school officials and see what we can do to, just, get them the help they need if they need whatever we can't give them.
Because the community has had to deal with a couple of shootings also recently, hasn't it? So
Yes.
now this is a fresh challenge for the kids in the club, and it's one with a whole different twist, suicide.
Because they're a hometown hero, so this is a hard pill to swallow for everybody. My heart goes out to their family. I wouldn't even know how to begin how they feel. It's just, he was everybody's hero. He was my hero, I was going to wear my 55 jersey today, but I couldn't find it. So, but he's going to be missed. I'm going to miss him. I know all the kids that he touched in the San Diego County area, all over the place, are going to miss him. So, it's tough. It's tough right now for everybody. So.
Well, Mike Hollins, thank you so much for coming down.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Seau's death is raising questions about depression and head trauma. We'll take a closer look in just a moment. And later, a border monument now south of the border fence. We'll tell you about an effort to get the fence moved. And some sweet sounds in the South Bay. Students get treated to a performance by a world-class musician. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
Tonight on KPBS. At 8, in his first public visit to San Diego, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama gives his speech titled Upholding Universal Ethics and Compassion in Challenging Times. Then at 9, an emergency interrupts a village feast, and Martin plans to leave Louisa and the baby again on Doc Martin. And at 10 on Vera, the key to a murder investigation lies deep in a child's memory. Can Vera coax it out of the boy? That's tonight on KPBS.
Is his idea. I'm just,
My hostage!
Hostage, yes, that works.
Don't do that.
Do what?
The look. You're doing the look again.
I like detectives. Brainy's the new sexy.
You must destroy me inch by inch.
Can't you see what's going on? Having fun?
Wouldn't miss this for the world.
The new season of Sherlock on Masterpiece.
A new season of Sherlock premieres Sunday at 9 on KPBS television. KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Irwin Jacobs and by
A new chancellor has been named for UC San Diego. Pradeep Khosla is currently the dean of Carnegie Mellon's College of Engineering, ranked 6th in the nation. His appointment to UC San Diego must still be approved by the Board of Regents this month. Khosla would replace Chancellor Marianne Fox, who is stepping down in August. Fans have been leaving cards, flowers, and messages outside the home of Junior Seau. Allison is looking at whether depression may have been a factor in his suicide.
Many questions remain after the death of Junior Seau, with some wondering if depression was linked to his apparent suicide, or perhaps if the many years of taking hits on the field as a professional football player contributed. Here to look at the issue of depression is my guest, Dr. Stephen Ornish. He's a clinical professor at UC San Diego School of Medicine, Department of Psychiatry. So, Dr. Ornish, people are already talking about the fact that perhaps his apparent suicide is connected to depression, which could have been caused or made worse by head injury on the field. What's the link there?
Well, we know that there's a significant link between depression and suicide. Approximately 60% of people who have attempted or committed suicide are suffering from a very severe depression. The relationship between suicide and head injuries is less clear. There seems to be an association, but there's really very little research done on that topic. And whether or not there's a cause and effect relationship requires further study.
We heard that he was a very intense guy, even when he was a kid. Is it possible that head injury might make emotions more intense?
Well, we know that head injuries, particularly severe ones, can lead to some what's called disinhibition, where the person does become emotionally labile. They do become more emotional and become more impulsive, but that usually occurs with quite significant and seen in more severe head injuries. We also know that you can have secondary depression from head injuries, and the important point is that depression, whether it's from a head injury or from any other cause, is really very treatable, and that the suicide ideation and thoughts of suicide often are stemming from the untreated depression, and it's the person's attempt to try to get away from a great deal of emotional pain.
And one of the other things that people always say about Junior Seau is that he was so outgoing and so friendly and so cheerful. I mean, is that the normal face of depression?
Well, the normal face is not to be outgoing and cheerful. The normal face is to appear depressed, to appear agitated, to appear anxious, maybe appear more like a bump on a log and withdrawn. That said, often we have what's called a smiling depression, where the person actually puts on a facade, where they look to the outside world like they're functioning just fine, and yet they're really crying on the inside. They're in a great deal of emotional pain. And ironically, sometimes it's the most famous people who feel as if they need to maintain a certain image, who feel a certain stigma about reaching out for help and getting help for what is otherwise a very treatable condition.
So there's always warning signs. There must be warning signs. Do you think some might have been missed in this case?
Well, the warning signs can be subtle to the loved ones and to the family. To professionals, though, they are often red flags. The kinds of warning signs we look for are particularly symptoms of depression, would be changes in mood. In men, often it manifests not in terms of a sad mood, but in terms of irritability or in anger. You can see changes in sleep, where the person may have trouble falling asleep, or their sleep may become very fitful. They may start making veiled references to that people would be better off if they weren't alive. That can be a big red flag. Sometimes they'll visit their primary care physician and express various symptoms that are hallmarks of depression. So often there are warning signs which may be missed by the family, but to trained mental health professionals are very apparent.
So I was going to ask you that. I mean, obviously support from family and friends is vital, but how important is professional support when someone is really suffering from this?
Well, professional support is really key. If any family member or friends believes that the person may be suffering from depression, it's very important to get them referred to treatment. This can be done through a direct referral. It can be done through a crisis line. If a family or friend thinks that the person is more imminently suicidal, all they have to do is pick up the phone, call 911, and the police with a crisis team will come out and do a assessment and determine whether or not the person is imminently suicidal. But again, it's important to recognize that depression, that the suicidality is a symptom, and it's often a symptom of depression. And the depression is very treatable. And so if we can get the person treated, then the symptom of suicidal ideation will just kind of melt away with the treatment.
But isn't it true that there is still a bit of a stigma to admitting depression, especially perhaps for men?
Well, unfortunately, there remains a stigma, and particularly among men, and particularly among athletes who have grown up in a culture of feeling as if they have to be very macho, have to endure a great deal of pain. In fact, that's what they're trained to do, which is to endure physical pain. And so when they have emotional pain, that same kind of culture of just toughening out, this erroneous belief that somehow if they reach out for help, this is a weakness, quote unquote, that's very predominant in men. The other thing that makes depression and suicidality so dangerous in men is that men often turn to very violent and lethal means of attempting or committing suicide, such as we see in this case, as opposed to women who may overdose on medications or may cut on themselves where they still may survive the suicide attempt.
Okay, we've come to the end of our time, but thank you very much for those insights, Dr. Ornish.
Thank you very much.
Before there was a border fence, stone and steel monuments were the only thing separating Mexico from the U.S., almost 300 of them dotting the southwestern landscape. But the Border Patrol has reinforced the area with a new fence, and many of these binational monuments have been left in Mexico. From our Fronteras desk, Adrian Florido has the story.
Tractors rumble. Workers pour concrete from a rotating cement truck. A giant drill is carving a hole into the beach. On the scenic stretch of coast where San Diego County meets Tijuana, Mexico, the U.S. Border Patrol is making the border fence taller and thicker, impenetrable, it hopes, to drug smugglers and illegal crossers. But if you look closely through the vertical bars and double mesh, you can just make out a pyramid-shaped monument on the other side. As you can see, the border fence used to run right through the monument that marks the exact boundary between Mexico and the United States. But the Border Patrol has now moved the fence a few feet to the north, meaning that the monument is left entirely on the Mexican side. And that's upset locals because for decades, loved ones living on opposite sides of the border used to meet at the monument to talk through the fence.
A border monument needs to be on the border, not just on one side or the other. It's a shared marker between two nations.
Jim Brown is an architect and member of Friends of Friendship Park, an advocacy group that wants to convince the Border Patrol to reconsider its fence design.
To have it, the fence jog around and have it be almost ownership by Mexico doesn't make any emotional sense. Makes no physical sense. Makes no common sense.
There are 276 of these monuments along the border from San Diego to El Paso. They were installed by Mexican and American surveyors starting in 1850 after a treaty ended the Mexican-American War, and the two countries agreed to define their shared border. Today, some are in urban areas, others in remote desert or on isolated mountain bluffs. They're owned by both countries. But in the last several years, an increasing number of these binational monuments have become more like national monuments. Of Mexico alone, in 2006, Congress approved the construction of 700 miles of new fencing along the border, and as that fence has gone up, monuments have been left on the other side. The agency in charge of maintaining them is the International Boundary and Water Commission. The Border Patrol signed an agreement with them in 2008 to not disturb the monument while constructing its fence. So, in many places like San Diego, it's built the fence a few feet north of the actual international boundary.
The fence itself is constructed inside the United States. The actual agreement between the International Boundary and Water Commission and Customs and Border Protection is that any type of construction around a monument would be set back 3 feet.
The Border Patrol also agreed to build doors into the barrier, as strange as that may sound. They're to allow for occasional maintenance of the monuments. David Taylor has been on a mission to photograph all 276 monuments since he realized the new fencing was going to make many of them inaccessible from the U.S.
I recognized the fact that the border was going to change as much in the early 2000s as it had in the previous 100 years, more in fact.
He believes the monuments, once a symbol of binational cooperation, have become casualties of the push for greater border enforcement.
It's one of those very unfortunate situations where this thing that's a part of our shared heritage with Mexico isn't easily accessible.
But Brown hopes to reverse that, at least in San Diego. He said he's come up with a relatively simple design change that would make the monument accessible from both sides. Jerry Conlon of the Border Patrol said the agency was always willing to listen.
But border security is always the main focus. That is our mission, securing our borders, protecting the United States.
But on the other side, visitors have already expressed their thoughts. An engraving on the monument warns vandals that defacing it is a crime punishable by the United States or Mexico. But someone recently used purple ink to cross out the words United States.
That was Fronteras reporter Adrian Florido. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
I'm Gwen Eiffel on the next News Hour, the battle of Twitter hashtags in the presidential campaign. That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
Next time, Antiques Roadshow sets its sights on the treasures of the North Star State, Minnesota.
I'm of the position that a fake should be taken out and burned.
Oh, no.
This market has really changed.
Which direction?
Up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. I just can't even believe that.
Next time from Minneapolis on Antiques Roadshow.
Monday night at 8, only on KPBS Television.
The American people have named PBS the most trusted source of news and public affairs.
For the 8th year in a row.
Trust.
The American people have spoken.
Thank you.
Some sweet sounds at Chula Vista High School this morning. Acclaimed Venezuelan cellist Herman Marcano is visiting student orchestras around the country this week, or rather county. Answering questions and sharing tips on playing their instruments, Marcano works with a free national orchestra program serving mostly disadvantaged children. He says programs like El Sistema show young people there is a way out.
There's no culture without music. And
I think the system is contributing a lot of that around the world right now, giving not only, as I said at the beginning, not only music, but finding a way of living through music.
Marcano will cap his San Diego visit with a performance at a youth symphony fundraiser this weekend. Now for the public square, our story on students, activists, and union members joining together for May Day protests made for interesting discussion on our website. Protesters called for a day of no working, no school, and no buying. In response, Benz72 wrote, "What? The proposed response to a cut in school funding is to not go to school on a day when it's still provided? And they want not to buy anything so that no sales taxes will be generated, which would help restore funding to the social services in some way? Did I completely misread this article, or is this simply asinine?" John L. responded, "Do you not agree that there are huge disparities among various government workers, even within said fields? Some, like firefighters and teachers, who one could argue are some of the most important public servants there are paid pitiful poor, not market competitive wages, and can barely survive as a permanent underclass in an area of such extreme wealth as San Diego. Should people not be able to voice these concerns as provided by the U.S. Constitution?" You can join the conversation by following us on Twitter, liking us on Facebook, and of course, you can email us. Recapping some of tonight's top stories, San Diego County medical examiners officially ruled Junior Seau's death a suicide. Now officials are waiting for the Seau family to decide whether to examine his brain for evidence of repetitive trauma possibly suffered during his football career. Researchers have found links between multiple concussions and serious depression among NFL players. A UC San Diego engineering student has filed a $20 million claim against the Drug Enforcement Agency. Daniel Chong says agents left him in a holding cell for 5 days without food or water. Lawmakers are demanding an investigation. And SDG&E says it will not pay claims related to last fall's big blackout in San Diego. The utility says other entities were responsible. A federal report blames inadequate planning and poor coordination between the power companies involved. You can watch and comment on any of the stories you saw tonight on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night. We leave you with a look at the forecast.